In all of Super Sentai, there are few teams that represent the series' action, adventure, and sense of wonder as well as Gokaiger. A group of heroic pirates that sail into battle with the power of the 34 different teams that came before them. This video is going to look at the entire history of Gokaiger, including the entire series, the movies, crossovers, and a look at every character and piece of equipment. If you want a video that covers every aspect of this incredible show's history, then you've come to the right place. This is the complete history of Gokaiger. Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger arrived in 2011 as the 35th anniversary of Super Sentai, designed from the ground up to celebrate the franchise's legacy while giving it a fresh and modern twist. Toei wanted a new concept that was unique within the franchise, and they decided to go with a crew of space pirates looking for treasure. This was a huge departure from the usual hero archetypes that fans were used to, giving the team a fun and rebellious edge. These rangers weren't fighting for justice in the traditional sense, they were chasing their dreams and treasure while becoming heroes over time. The pirate motif gave them striking visuals with coats, hats, and a ship. It fit nicely into the treasure hunting theme of gathering past Sentai powers, allowing for an anniversary gimmick that worked extremely well. What led to this concept was Toei's desire to showcase every Sentai team that came before, and they built a narrative where the legacy itself was the prize that the team would be chasing after. Framing that quest around pirates gave Gokaiger its identity as the ultimate celebration of the series' adventurous spirit. The flashy and unique Gokaiger suits were designed to instantly convey the legacy of the franchise as well as the swagger of the team itself, blending classic Sentai elements with a pirate aesthetic that set them apart from any team that came before. The design team at Toei intentionally gave the suits a more formal, almost uniform-like aesthetic, with coattails, gold trim, and sharp cuffs that perfectly evoke the look of classic pirates. The helmets were styled to look like a tricorn hat, made famous by legendary pirates like Blackbeard, and it was emblazoned with the team's logo. Unlike previous Sentai, where the suits varied from ranger to ranger, Gokaiger's designs were deliberately cohesive, making them look like an actual crew rather than just individuals. This was also in part a reflection of the anniversary. Toei wanted them to look elegant and timeless, while their pirate coat silhouette gave them a look that fans would instantly recognize. The end result was a team that looked both stylish and rebellious, perfectly balancing the celebration of Sentai's legacy with the thrill of adventure. The transformation devices used in Gokaiger are as unique and interesting as the team itself, built to fully embrace the show's pirate style. The main 5 rangers use the mobiles, a flip phone that opens up to reveal the team's logo when they insert a ranger key. These keys represent the power of the Gokaigers as well as past Sentai heroes. This allows the team to not only transform into their base forms, but also transform into tons of classic rangers from the franchise, making this device a huge part of the anniversary concept. Gokai Silver wields the Gokai Cellular, a more advanced device with a unique style and screen. It also featured the helmets of past 6th Rangers from the franchise, reflecting Gokai Silver's role on the team. These devices not only allowed for transformation, they perfectly represented the show's pirate theme and the legacy of Super Sentai. The Gokaiger's arsenal also reflects their pirate theme, providing a fresh new take on Super Sentai's classic weaponry. Each main ranger wields a Gokai saber that's based off of a pirate's cutlass, as well as a flintlock-inspired Gokai gun, invoking the weaponry of the legendary pirates that inspired the series. These were simple but effective tools that the rangers would swap around with each other, creating unique combat opportunities with dual wielding. Their designs featured silver blades and ornamentation, accented with gold trim, and the pirate aesthetic came through clearly without any overcomplication of the design. When the team needs even heavier firepower, they can combine their weapons into the massive Gokai Galleon Buster, a cannon modeled after the cannon of a ship. Gokai Silver uses his unique Gokai Spear, a trident-like weapon that shifts between spear, blaster, and anchor modes, representing his individuality and his role as the outsider of the crew. All of these weapons can be used to perform various attacks and a final wave that obliterated the enemy. The Gokaiger arsenal was stylish and effective, further adding to the overwhelming power of the team. The cast of Gokaiger is the stuff of legend, with a charismatic and likable group of actors that gave life to these excellent characters. Luca Milfi, or Gokai Yellow, is the street-smart shit-talker of the group, a former thief who survived a hard childhood on a war-torn planet before eventually discovering a life of freedom among the Gokaigers. She's clever and confident, with a love of adventure and treasure, giving her teammates a hard time, but showing fierce loyalty in battle. Luca has an obsession with jewelry and can be pretty greedy on the surface, but underneath all that is a deep compassion due to the pain of losing her younger sister, a tragedy that gives weight and complexity to her character. On the battlefield, she's agile and cunning, making her a force to be reckoned with, both physically and mentally. She finds creative ways to deal with enemies, fully embodying the spirit of a pirate. She's played by actress Mao Ichimichi, who gave Luca a lot of charm that resonated with fans. Mao went on to become a prolific voice actress in anime and toku, and she even did the voice of Washi Pink in Q Ranger. Luca's mix of swagger, heart, and compassion made her not only an integral part of the crew, but one of the most beloved Sentai characters of all time. Don Dogoyer, better known as Doc, transforms into Gokai Green. He's a resourceful mechanic that brings a lot of heart and humor to the team, and he usually gets himself into chaotic situations despite being overly cautious. Unlike the others, Doc isn't a hardened fighter, but he proved himself to his teammates with his intelligence rather than brute strength. Sometimes he can be really anxious and clumsy, but in battle his skills with technology and creative problem solving make him a crucial part of the team's success. His awkward attempts at being brave, his comedic overreactions to situations, and his ability to fix just about anything give him a lot of charm, and he's one of the most relatable members of the crew. He was played by Kazuki Shimizu, a controversial actor that brought a perfect blend of slapstick humor and sincerity to the role. Doc showed that even someone who doesn't see themselves as a hero can still rise to the occasion when the situation calls for it. His journey captured the series' spirit of growth and adventure. Next we look at Princess Ayame de Famille, who becomes Gokai Pink. She brings vibes of elegance to the eccentric and rowdy pirate crew. Her calm demeanor was a reflection of her royal upbringing. Once the princess of the peaceful planet Famille, she lost her family and home when the Zangyack Empire invaded. But instead of giving up, she chose to fight back by joining the Gokaigers. Ayame's personality is gentle and composed, serving as the crew's moral compass and emotional anchor. Despite this, she has strong willpower, and when the situation calls for it, she proves that she's a capable and fearless fighter. Throughout the series, we see a lot of quirks tied to her royal upbringing, like the formal way she speaks. She's played by Yui Koike, who brought warmth and dignity to the role, making Ayame a really endearing character. Her presence on the team shows that strength isn't always overly aggressive. Sometimes it's about resilience, compassion, and the courage to keep standing tall despite loss. Joe Gibkin is Gokai Blue, and he's the cool and disciplined swordsman of the crew, a soldier who's defined by his skill and a quiet intensity born from his tragic past. Once a soldier in the Zangyack Empire, Joe defected after refusing to follow their orders, making him a fugitive who now channels his guilt and regret into every battle. His personality is usually focused and serious, and he acts as the level-headed counterpart to the more eccentric members of the team, but flashes of dry humor and warmth show his character depth throughout the series. Joe's relentless with his training. He's obsessed with dual-wielding swords, and a lot of the time he's unable to relax even in lighthearted situations. Joe was played by Yuki Yamada, who brought a grounded and charismatic energy to the role, and he quickly became a fan favorite for embodying the archetype of the cool secondary hero while still feeling human and vulnerable. His journey from a man burdened by his past to a trusted, unshakable right hand to Captain Marvelous was an epic journey about finding freedom, redemption, and a new family amongst the stars. Guy Ikari, better known as Gokai Silver, is the team's energetic and charismatic Sentai fanboy. Before joining the Gokaigers, Guy was just an ordinary citizen of Earth who idolized the legendary Super Sentai teams, until a near-death accident brought him face-to-face with the spirits of Abare Killer, Time Fire, and Dragon Ranger, who granted him the power to fight alongside his heroes. His personality is loud and over the top, but his infectious optimism and devotion to the Sentai legacy make him the emotional heartbeat of the crew. He tends to become starstruck when meeting past Rangers. He's an expert at Sentai trivia, and sometimes his over-the-top passion for Sentai can overcomplicate situations, but these traits also show his sincerity and determination. He's played by Junya Ikeda, who delivered a performance full of charm and comedic timing while still grounding Guy's character in genuine moments of courage. Gokai Silver stands out as the ultimate audience surrogate, representing the joy and love that keeps Super Sentai alive. Captain Marvelous is Gokai Red, and he's the fearless and charismatic leader of the Gokaigers, a pirate whose very name reflects his larger-than-life persona. Marvelous lives by his own code, choosing adventures and loyalty to his crew over any authority in the galaxy. He's bold, reckless, and extremely confident, usually diving headfirst into danger with a smile on his face. But beneath his swagger lies an unshakable sense of responsibility to his crew. Marvy drops cocky one-liners, he loves good food, and he recklessly refuses to show weakness. But in rare moments of vulnerability, he shows how deep his resolve is. He was played by Ryota Ozawa, whose commanding presence and charm made the character unforgettable. Over time, Marvelous cemented himself as one of Sentai's most iconic Red Rangers. With his blend of roguish pirate flair and genuine heroism, Gokai Red embodies the heart of Gokaiger, a man chasing treasure, freedom, and dreams, while forging a legacy worthy of the Super Sentai name. Gokaiger also featured Aka Red, the mysterious Red Ranger that served as somewhat of a mentor to Captain Marvelous. He represents the legacy of Super Sentai and all of the heroes that came before. He functions like a specter on this show, with no real identity or backstory. He gives Marvelous advice and serves to further the plot with exposition. Aka Red was voiced by Toru Furuya, a legendary voice actor who was featured in tons of Toku and anime projects like Dragon Ball. Aka Red himself was a celebration of Sentai, and he was one of the most unique Rangers in the entire franchise. The Mecha of Gokaiger continued the season's theme of adventure and spectacle, with the Gokai Galleon serving as the team's ship and the core of their giant robo, Gokaio. Designed to resemble a towering pirate captain, Gokaio is built from the galleon combining with 4 auxiliary mecha, each corresponding to the Ranger's colors that form its limbs. Its design is intentionally straightforward and striking, echoing the clean lines of classic mecha from the series, while adding a distinct pirate flair with a massive saber as its primary weapon. As the series progresses, Gokaio evolves through a variety of forms and combinations, each bringing new abilities tied to specific past Sentai powers, while massive crossover mecha like Kanzen Gokaio push the scale and spectacle to heights worthy of this anniversary season. The style of these mecha emphasized both nostalgia and novelty, giving longtime fans recognizable elements while keeping the visuals fresh with the signature pirate aesthetic. Gokai Silver also had his own mecha called Gojujin. More than just machines, the mecha of Gokaiger symbolized the crew's adaptability and the limitless possibilities of the Sentai legacy, turning every battle into a larger-than-life extravaganza. The Zangyack Empire are the primary villain faction of Gokaiger, an intergalactic army whose conquest of countless worlds set the stage for the Pirates' Rebellion. This faction represents overwhelming imperial might, with endless fleets of warships and soldiers, but its leadership is fractured by arrogance and incompetence. At the top sits Emperor Akudos Gil, the iron-fisted ruler whose greed drives the empire, but most of the Earth campaign is overseen by his spoiled grandson, Wars Gil. Wars is actually pretty ineffective, relying on his loyal strategist Damaris to carry out actual tactics. Other captains like the merciless Badazorg, a tragic figure revealed to be the brainwashed former comrade of Joe, add a darker, more personal edge to the conflict, while Insarn supplies the Empire's endless stream of giant monsters. The Zangyack have long been the galaxy's dominant military power, responsible for the Legend War where all past Sentai sacrificed their powers to repel the Empire's first invasion of Earth. In this way, the villains serve not only as the immediate threat to the Gokaigers, but also as the connective tissue tying together the legacy of the entire franchise, making their defeat as much a symbolic victory as it is a narrative one. Gokaiger starts with the Earth under attack. The Zangyack Empire launches a brutal assault to claim the planet as their own. Their conquest gets interrupted by the sudden arrival of the Gokaigers, not to defend Earth, but to seek the greatest treasure in the universe. The mysterious Ranger Keys give them the power to transform into any of the legendary Super Sentai heroes from the past, making them absolutely unpredictable in the fight against Zangyack. They're pirates through and through, and their first few battles on Earth mark the beginning of an epic and unforgettable story. At first, the Gokaigers focus mostly on their own goals. They don't care much about the planet or its people, instead hunting for clues to the treasure while Zangyack pursues them. But when they see innocent people suffering under Zangyack's cruelty, their actions and motivations start to change. Even though they still claim to only care about the treasure, they decide to fight for Earth, leading them down a path that would see the citizens of Earth look at them as heroes. During their journey, they add Guy or Gokai Silver to the crew, and they come across legendary members of past Super Sentai teams. Each of these legends holds the key to a greater power, a unique ability tied to the team's legacy. But the Gokaigers have to earn these powers by proving themselves. They're forced to face challenges that test their strength and character. These run-ins with the classic heroes connected the pirates to the decades of Sentai history that came before them, making them the inheritors of that legacy over the course of the series. In addition to the trials that the group goes through as a whole, each ranger also has their own challenges they need to overcome as an individual. Joe confronts his past as a former Zangyack soldier and sharpens his resolve through his dual sword fighting style. Luca, driven by her survival instincts from a harsh childhood, learns the value of trust and reliance on her team. Aim, a princess from a destroyed world, reconciles with her loss and finds dignity in fighting alongside her crewmates. Doc, the weakest among the crew, proves that courage isn't found in raw strength but in conviction. Guy, the most laid-back member of the crew, becomes more and more serious and focused throughout the season. And through it all, Marvelous grows from a carefree adventurer into a captain who carries the weight of leadership on his shoulders. Basco. At this point, Zangyack starts to view the Gokaigers as a legitimate threat to their power, rather than simply an annoyance, and they would use all of their power against them. Stronger generals arrive, their army grows, and their attacks on Earth become more brutal. But even as the Gokaigers rise to fight back against these threats, an enemy from Marvy's past arrives, Basco. They were once comrades, but Basco betrayed Captain Marvelous and Akka Red. Basco wields his own Ranger Keys with devastating effect. Unlike the Gokaigers, who grow stronger through unity, Basco operates with cruelty and betrayal, even killing former heroes to achieve his goals. His arrival marks a turning point in the story, transforming the treasure hunt into a desperate fight for survival. Basco's knowledge of Marvelous and his willingness to exploit it puts the Gokaigers at a disadvantage. The crew gets pushed to their limits, both physically and emotionally, as Basco forces them to question what they're fighting for. But it's through this conflict that their greatest strength is revealed. Where Basco's ambition isolates him, the Gokaigers' team unity carries them forward. Together they manage to defeat him, not just as pirates, but as a true team worthy of the Super Sentai legacy. With Basco gone, the Gokaigers turn their focus back to Zangyack. The Empire responds with overwhelming force, deploying its largest fleet and most dangerous commanders ever to finally get rid of the pirates. But by this point in the story, the Gokaigers aren't just a crew of selfish treasure hunters. Their resolve and willpower is off the charts. They embrace the role of being the defenders of Earth, even if they don't say it out loud. Drawing strength from both their personal growth and the greater powers they've inherited, the pirates stand ready to challenge the Empire at its peak strength. The final battles of the series test everything the crew learned and the power they've gained. Facing overwhelming odds, the crew pushes their abilities to the limit, cycling through the powers of countless Sentai while also relying on their own ingenuity and toughness. Each fight shows how far they've come, from outsiders chasing fortune to true warriors representing generations of heroes. Their fight against the Zangyack fleet isn't just about Earth's survival, it's the culmination of their journey to prove themselves worthy of the legacy they've inherited. Eventually, the secret of the greatest treasure in the universe is revealed. It's not a weapon or an object of material wealth, it's the combined power, spirit, and legacy of all of Super Sentai. This truth reframes their journey, not as a quest for their own personal gain, but as a responsibility to carry on the legacy of those who came before them. With this new understanding, the Gokaigers unlock the treasure's true potential, channeling the power of the entire franchise to finally destroy the Zangyack Empire and free Earth from its grasp. In the end, the Gokaigers stand victorious, hailed as the heroes who saved Earth. But true to their nature, they don't stick around just to be celebrated. They set sail to the clouds in search of new adventures. The pirates continue their voyage, leaving behind a safer world and carrying forward the spirit of every Super Sentai that paved the way. Next, we look at the Gokaiger movies, specials, and crossovers, starting with 199 Hero Great Battle. This was a huge anniversary movie that celebrated the entire legacy of Super Sentai. It opens with a legendary team-up of every Sentai in history, only to raise the stakes by scattering their powers across the universe. From there, the story focuses on the clash between the Gokaigers and the Goseigers, a conflict born from distrust that would gradually transform into mutual respect. Their rivalry gets tested against a threat that unleashes clones of past Sentai, and both teams are forced into one of the largest battles in the history of Toku. The movie builds to an unforgettable climax, a roll call featuring Gokaiger, Goseiger, and the legendary heroes of the past, followed by a Mecha showdown that brings together every robo in Sentai's history. Beyond the action, the film focuses on themes of legacy, trust, and unity, ultimately passing the torch from one generation of Rangers to the next, while teasing the arrival of Gokai Silver. Gokaiger the movie, the flying ghost ship, takes the crew on a supernatural adventure that pushes them through illusions, trials, and battles from throughout history. Drawn in by the promise of the mysterious God's Eye, a jewel said to grant any wish, the Gokaigers find themselves facing Losdark, the ghost ship's evil captain, and a gauntlet of classic villains and settings from across the franchise. From battles in feudal Japan to a comedic baseball scene, the film blends nostalgia with over-the-top spectacle, showcasing the crew's resilience and adaptability. At its heart, the story isn't about claiming treasure, but about proving the Gokaigers' unity as they fight side by side against overwhelming odds. With an epic showdown against the corrupted Gokaio and the destruction of Losdark's ship, the film ends on a lighthearted note, reminding viewers that for this crew, the true prize is their ironclad bond and the journey they share together. Let's Do This Goldenly is a comedic side story that leans into the quirky chemistry of Marvelous and Guy. What starts out as a lighthearted adventure quickly spirals into chaos when Insarn and a rebuilt Barzorg fuse Marvelous and Guy into a single ranger. The film thrives on its humor, whether it's Insarn's failed experiments, the absurdity of Marvy Guy cycling through every Red Ranger in a frantic Gokai change, or the crew's over-the-top battles against increasingly bizarre enemies. Beneath the comedy, the story reinforces the trust between Marvelous and Guy, climaxing with the duo's flashy display of power. This project celebrates the bond and sense of fun that the two Rangers share, leaving its mark as a playful footnote in the Gokaiger legacy. Gokaiger had an epic Metal Hero crossover with a film called Gokaiger vs. Gavin. This project saw Gavin attempting to capture the Gokaigers, but eventually he's the one getting captured by a group of villains, and the Gokaigers of course have to rescue him. Legendary Toku actor Kenji Oba reprised his role as Gavin, and we were also treated to appearances from his other famous roles. This film was a generation-spanning adventure that introduced Space Sheriff Gavin to fans of Gokaiger at the height of this crew's popularity. Superhero Tyson was a chaotic crossover that brought together the worlds of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai in an all-out war. When Captain Marvelous declares war on the Riders and leads the Zangyack in an invasion of Earth, Kamen Rider Decade responds by rallying an army of Riders to oppose the Sentai. What follows is a massive clash of legends, filled with betrayals, shifting alliances, and a spectacle of transformations and finishers that only grows more explosive. Decade and Marvelous faked the conflict as part of a plan to unite Riders and Rangers against the true enemy of this film. By the finale, the two legacies merge into one, culminating in one of the most over-the-top battles in Toku's history, cementing Superhero Tyson as a wild and unforgettable celebration of both franchises. Go-Busters vs. Gokaiger is a crossover that mixes high-stakes drama with the pirate vibes that Gokaiger fans are used to. The story starts off when the Go-Busters face the revival of the Zangyack Empire, only to discover that the Gokaigers, thought to have disappeared after their final battle, are working alongside them. What follows is a tense clash of ideals, betrayals, and surprise twists as the truth behind the pirates' actions slowly comes to light. Packed with transformations, mecha battles, and the kind of team-up spectacle only Sentai can deliver, the film balances the Go-Busters' more realistic style with the Gokaigers' over-the-top showmanship. By the end, the two teams unite against a common enemy in an explosive finale, solidifying the film as both a celebration of the Gokaigers' legacy and a passing of the torch to their successors. Superhero Tyson Zeto is another massive crossover that unites Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and even the heroes of Metal Hero in one explosive battle. The story kicks off when Space Sheriff Gavin investigates a cosmic threat tied to a mysterious energy known as magic rings, drawing the attention of both the Kamen Riders and the Gokaigers. What begins as a clash between factions quickly escalates into an all-out war against the revived Space Shocker and the space crime syndicate Mado. The film thrives on its sheer spectacle, Rider, Ranger, and Metal Hero teams trading blows, and an escalating sequence of transformations and finishers. At its core though, the movie's about overcoming division, as these franchises put aside their rivalries to stand together. By the finale, the combined might of Sentai, Riders, and Metal Heroes erupts in a battle of cosmic scale, cementing Superhero Tyson Zeto as one of the boldest, most chaotic, and most ambitious crossovers in Toku history. Q-Ranger vs. Space Squad was a Q-Ranger movie with appearances from Metal Heroes as well as Basco and Luca. Basco serves as a villain alongside several other villains from the Super Sentai series, and Luca shares the screen with Raptor 283 in what was a memorable scene since they both have the same actress. Although these characters weren't the primary focus of the film, their appearances were still cool to see. In the Zenkaiger movie, Red Battle Great Assembly, Basco returned once again in a villain role, further cementing himself as one of the most prolific villains in Sentai history. This film also featured every Red Ranger, including Captain Marvelous. Unfortunately, it was in suit only, but still a treat for Gokaiger fans. Captain Marvelous made a guest appearance in Zyuohger during episodes 28 and 29, where he arrives on Earth in pursuit of a powerful artifact known as the Champion Symbol. Initially, he clashed with the Zyuohgers due to his cocky and independent attitude, and Marvelous would challenge Yamato to prove himself worthy of the artifact. But as their situation escalates and threats emerge from the Death Galleons, Marvelous ultimately joins forces with the Zyuohgers, showing respect for their determination and teamwork. His appearance not only honors Super Sentai's legacy during the series' 40th anniversary, but also highlights the evolving role of Marvelous as a veteran hero guiding the next generation toward greatness. Super Sentai's Strongest Battle was a crossover event that gathered 160 heroes from across the franchise onto the mysterious planet Nemesis for a high-stakes tournament with the promise of having their wish granted. What starts out as a spectacle of dream matchups and entertaining duels eventually reveals a darker truth, as Guy's sword crashes the battle and the tournament's organizer manipulates the contest to fuel the return of an ancient evil. Blending nostalgia with a unique premise, this film looks at the rivalries and friendships that define Sentai. By the finale, the heroes prove once again that the true strength of Super Sentai isn't just in competition, but in unity and trust across the generations. Next, we look at 10 Gokaiger, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the series. Taking place 10 years after Gokaiger, Sentai fight against each other in the Super Sentai Derby Coliseum, made possible by the Ranger Keys, and citizens place bets on these fights. Over the years, the Gokaigers have gone their separate ways, and Captain Marvelous looks to take down this gambling operation, while Guy opposes him and supports the Ranger battles. Marvelous even chooses to fight 100 other Rangers with the stipulation that if he loses, he'll lose his Ranger Key, but if he wins, he'll get all of the other keys. Eventually, it's revealed that the organization running these battles is corrupt, and the Rangers join together and give the fans what they came for, an epic battle. This was a really entertaining film, and it was cool to see how the crew changed over the years. In Zenkaiger vs. Kiramager vs. Senpaiger, Captain Marvelous returns as one of the main characters, fighting to recover the scattered Kanema stones. Marvelous steals the show in this film, with his wit and showmanship on full display. He's the perfect choice to guide the younger generation of Sentai, since he himself had so many legendary interactions with his senpais. This film continued the Sentai legacy in a bold way, and it was a great continuation of Marvy's story. Next up was a strange and unique project called Tukaiger and Gokaiger June Bride is Tanuki flavored. This special starts off with an intriguing premise when Flint suddenly announces her engagement to a mysterious jeweler from Tanuki-topia. Things start to become suspicious when Aim is revealed to be engaged to the same man, forcing Zox and Marvelous to team up and figure out the truth. What follows is a blend of comedy, tension, and pirate swagger as both crews clash with the Tanuki trickster, who scheme to drain emotional energy through false marriages preyed on Flint and Aim. The film thrives on playful banter, over-the-top antics, and the rare chance to see the Gokaigers and Tukaiger fight side by side. In the end, the illusion fails, the trickster gets defeated, and the story closes with humor and unity between the different heroes. Next up was the Gojuger anniversary discussion. In this 10-minute web special, Goju Wolf sits at a conference table alongside Gokai Red, Zen Kaiser, Kamen Rider Decade, and Kamen Rider Legend, all debating whether Gojuger deserves to be called an anniversary season. Captain Marvelous argues that it's only the 49th Sentai team, not a special milestone like the 35th or 45th, and Legend says that anniversary should align with the number of years that have passed, explaining that Kamen Rider Revice marked the 50th year. Tensions rise as they poke fun at one another's names and anniversary claims. Zenkaiser reluctantly gets 46 added to his helmet, and Marvelous cracks jokes at the expense of the other heroes. But in the end, Goju Wolf is embraced as part of the Anniversary 5. When I look back at Gokaiger, for me this was a season that had it all. The cast was perfect, the suits and mecha looked cool and unique, and this show had some of the most entertaining action of all time due to the mechanics of the Gokai change. Gokaiger set a high bar for quality that every other Sentai will be compared to. This is easily the most popular season of Sentai ever, and also one of the best. But that's just what I think. I want to know how you would rate Gokaiger in the comments. If you want to hang out with me and make some other cool Toku friends, join my Discord server. Link is in the description. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a ton to me if you smack the shit out of that like button. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you next time.